a leading judge has called for an overhaul of the current justice system to tackle the backlog of nearly 80,000 court cases. One of Sir Leveson's key recommendations is that some cases of supposedly lesser crimes that would normally be heard in front of a jury will instead be decided by judges alone. Where do you sit with it, Marielle? We're talking 80,000 cases, a huge backlog. There's clearly, things need to speed up in some way. Is this the way to do it?
Well, I think, yes, there's a huge backlog. And actually, we've been talking about this as well for about 3 years, I think, now. And it's only grown in that time rather than decrease. So something clearly has to be done. I do think there are crimes that cost the state a lot of money and shouldn't really require the kind of complexity of the full gaze of the law. Someone steals a bottle of whiskey, it costs the state £20,000 to put them through the justice system. I'm sure a judge could easily make a decision about that. But I think it's very complex because, we have one of the most admired and envied justice systems in the world, and a lot of that is based on the fact that a defendant has a right to a jury trial if that's what they want. I sort of feel like, obviously, ideally, there'd just be investment in the criminal justice system in order to make sure that it was fit for purpose, and we weren't developing this backlog. But I think, actually, justice is more impaired in the UK at the moment by the fact that it's only accessible to the super rich and the very poor. If you've got absolutely nothing to lose, then you can access legal aid. But, if you've got a house or a car or any of those sort of what might be considered luxuries, then assets, you cannot afford to go into a case that could cost you up to £500,000 just to defend yourself. So that, I think, is the biggest problem, and the decimation of legal aid in this country is to the shame of every government who's kind of presided over it.
Yeah. It's a difficult position to be in, isn't it? Because we all naturally feel like a jury quite possibly gives a more fair outcome. There's more people sort of shouldering the burden.
A lot of the more serious cases would still go in front of a jury, but, I think there's about 170 crimes that wouldn't be eligible now for a jury trial under these recommendations. Sexual assault of a child is one of them, death by careless driving, incest, firearms. What they're saying is this could be dealt with a judge and 2 magistrates, and usually magistrates are volunteers, aren't they? They're not paid, so I guess that keeps the cost down. But here's an idea. Why don't we invest more money in police on our streets so that these crimes don't even happen in the first place?
That would be
a good idea, wouldn't it?
Yeah, love that. Love that. What's it me? Have you come to me? Well, to be honest with you, I think that the whole jury service thing, I would be rubbish at, because when I've watched them on telly, because I love watching crime stuff, and when I've watched them on telly, I think I'd be rubbish on a jury, because when the defendant stands up, I go, oh, he's got a point. And then the prosecutor stands up and I go, oh, no, I think I believe him. I'd be rubbish. So, don't call me for jury service. But that is the whole point
of a jury service, is that you hear both sides of the thing, and then you'll supposedly make an informed decision based on, your sort of, I suppose, gut instinct of what you've witnessed.
And it's not just up to one individual. You've got to find consensus with a group of people, which, as we all know, is quite a difficult thing, which is why it's so important that you have a jury, I guess. But I know what you mean. I'd definitely be swinging like a pendulum between the two.
I'm desperate to do jury service. I never get asked.
Real? Oh, no.
Oh, if I walked out and she was on the jury, I'd think, well, that's it, I'm done for.
Careful what you wish for, then. I've had you now.
Guilty.
Yeah, guilty, as soon as I walked out.
Take her down.
Yeah. And it can take chunks of your year as well, depending on what sort of a case you get as a jury.
Oh, yeah.
It could be weeks, months, and it can be such an intense experience, to be fair, as well.
I had a friend who was involved in a jury on a big murder trial, and it went on for 2.5 years. that's quite
That's longer than my
marriage.
That's just...
Yes, as I say, see you, Jane. 5 years later, she'll come back. I don't know why I said it. That was a big mistake. I mean, I do think it's one of those good sort of tenets of democracy, though, isn't it? That every single person, you know, if asked, has to go and do it.
Yeah.
And you have to, you know, I think it would probably help you understand how the justice system works a lot better as well. Because I think for lots of us, you know, it's all a bit of a mystery, cloak and...
Of course it is. It's what we see on the telly and you assume
Cloak
it's
and
the
mirrors?
same,
No,
isn't
that's
it?
the wrong
yeah.
word.
No, I would know what you
know
mean.
what
Don't
I mean.
worry.
Smoke and mirrors.
Smoke and mirrors.